The New Chronology. The New Chronology is a pseudo-historical conspiracy theory proposed by Anatoly Fomenko, who argues that events of antiquity generally attributed to the civilization of the Roman Empire, the ancient Greeks and the ancient Egyptians actually occurred during the Middle Ages more than 1,000 years after. The theory further proposes that world history prior to AD 1600 has been widely falsified to suit all the interests of a number of different conspirators, including the Vatican, the Holy Roman Empire, the Russians, and the House of Romanov, all working to obscure the true history of the world centered around a global empire called the Russian Horde. The central concepts of the New Chronology are derived from the ideas of Russian scholar Nikolai Morozov, who died in 1946, although work by French scholar Jean Hardouin can be viewed as an earlier predecessor. The New Chronology is most commonly associated with Russian mathematician Anatoly Fomenko, born 1945. And although published works on the subjects are actually a collaboration between Fomenko and several other mathematicians, the concept is most fully explained in History, Fiction or Science, originally published in Russian. And the New Chronology also contains a reconstruction and alternative chronology, radically shorter than the standard historical timeline, because all ancient history is folded into the Middle Ages according to Fomenko's claims. The written history of humankind goes only as far back as AD 800. There is almost no information about events between AD 800 and AD 1000, and most known historical events took place in AD 1000 to 1500. The New Chronology is rejected by mainstream historians and is inconsistent with absolute and relative dating techniques used in the wider scholarly community. Now that's very interesting. I'm going to interject here, Wikipedia. Absolute relative dating techniques. We're talking less than 1,000 years. So what are these dating techniques? Clearly, it can't be anything, like carbon dating. It's got to be scholarly sources, right? Resources, books, maps, maybe, astrological information. And we have all that, and it all says that the timeline is wrong. Gotta love scholars. It is considered to be pseudo-scientific, so do not look into it, guys. Only weirdos look into stuff like this. Academic interest in the theory stems mainly from its popularity, which has compelled historians and other scientists to argue against its methods and proposed world history. A second point of interest from the mainstream academic community is to understand why it has become so popular as to perhaps have the sympathy of 30% of Russians. It is not really known to which extent leaders of the New Chronology text regard it as history or fiction, nor are there reliable statistics on who the readers are. The theory emerged alongside the alternative histories and conspiracy literature in the period of increased freedom of speech, glad they got onto that one, that followed the breakup of the Soviet Union. Writers and other authors have written of the New Chronology theory. So basically they're trying to say, look, these people that are looking into it, they're not scientists, they're not historians, they're weird conspiracy theorists, so don't look into it. But I mean, just the way they write this, okay, it says that basically the scholars reject, right, the New Chronology is rejected by mainstream historians, right? That infers that it's all of mainstream historians. But down here it says its popularity, which has compelled historians and other scientists to argue against its methods and propose world history. Who are they arguing with, and why? If this is the mainstream view, why would they argue against something rather than proving themselves correct? it would seem it would be much easier to prove yourself correct, unless of course you can't. So this is the history of the new chronology, and just from Wikipedia here you can see, I mean, I just read a couple of paragraphs, and I think I said the word conspiracy theorist 3 or 4 times. So they are definitely trying to get a message across, and that message is, do not look here. Hello and welcome, Campbell here from Autodidactic Channel. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. And of course, autodidactic means to be self-educated, and with what they're telling us and the stories that they spread, we definitely need to be self-educated, guys, because if we're not, the only choice we have left is to believe what they're telling us. And look where that's gotten us. So today I definitely wanted to look into this, into the story, and it's something I've covered before, but it seems to be popping up a bit, so I thought I would make another video, and it is the missing years, the 1,000 missing years, where they turn the I's, or the ones, to I's and J's, or the I's and J's to ones, should I say. And it's also, it's not exactly 1,000 years that the timeline's been changed. It's because there's also, we've got the different calendars that were introduced, the Gregorian, Julian calendars, all these different things, plus a few other date changes in there, where they wipe days out of years and things. So as far as I can work out, I think we've lost around 600 to 800 years. But anyway, let's have a jump in and look at the missing years of our story. And here we are on a website called realitycreation.org. I'll leave the link for this below. And I actually got this off Facebook. I think it was off Kel's channel, the Australia Tartaria on Facebook. I'll leave the link for that below as well. Go and join the conversation. Now we are in France. This is a French website of old photography from the 1800s, from private and public collections. On one of its pages we find the following image of the shopping mall Galleria Umberto in Naples, Italy. And here we see Naples. Okay, so this is the photo. Pretty cool, old world photo. We've got, that's a pretty small little tram, big wheels, a horse pulling it along. But what we want to look at is up here. And here, Anno DCCCXC. So DCCCXC, and Anno is in the year of. So that is, DCCC is 800, 800 and XC 890. Well, there you go. So that's the year 890. Anno is obviously Latin, and we hear it in Anno Domini, which is used to indicate the time division that falls between the Christian era and the Common Era, as they call it. Anno Hagari is again a time division. Anno Actatsi Suak is a specified year. Anno Mundi, in the year of the world. Urbis, so in the year. So it's all to do with the year. So this is the years. Anno Lucius, 4,000 years since the fall. Basically, that's what. So that's the timeline of where it's 5,000, the year 5,000 in many calendars. So Anno, it doesn't actually give us the actual meaning for Anno, but it does mean in the year of, as far as all these definitions use it. Anno in the year of 890. Okay, in this, and of course, if we look at this picture, this looks pretty much like it should be 1890. Okay, so let's have a look at the next picture. Now this picture is the same place. As you can see, it's the same place. See, we've got all this up there. Same building. Up here, still got the anno. Now what have we got up here now? M. D, C, 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 X, C. So it's literally the same, but they've added an M. And of course, what does M mean in Roman numerals? M is 1000. So there you go, proof right there. They've added 1000. Okay, 1000 years to this building's age. Well, not to the building's age, but they've changed the date basically. They've added 1000 years to the calendar. So, added years to the calendar is what we're talking about today. And so what, the pretense is that 1000 years was added to the date. Like literally they added a 1 to the front of it and added 1000 years to the calendar. But as I said before, it's worked out, there's been other changes. So it's not an exact 1000 years, but the actual numbers were, just 1000 years was added to them. And this all came up or was discovered by a Russian man of the name of Anatoly Fomenko. Now, Anatoly was, and this is Anatoly here, and Anatoly Fomenko was born in 1945, and he is an academician of Russian Academy of Sciences. He's an actual member of the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences, an actual member of the International Academy of Sciences of Higher School, an actual member of the Academy of Technological Sciences of Russian Federation. He's a doctor of physical mathematical sciences, a professor, the head of the Department of Different Geometry and Applications of the Faculty of Mathematics and Mechanics of the Moscow State Lomonosov University. And he solved a well-known plateau problem in the theory of spectral minimal surfaces, created a theory of thin classification of integratable Hamiltonian dynamic systems. He's the award winner of the State Prize of Russian Federation of 1996 in the field of mathematics. I mean, this guy is so overqualified. He's just one of these genius types. He's the author of 250 scientific works, 24 monographs and textbooks, and specialist in the field of geometry and topography or topology, calculus of variations, theory of minimal surfaces, symplectic topology, Hamiltonian geometry and mechanics, computer geometry as well. So there you go. And after all of that, because he was bored, he then authored several books on the development and application of new empirical statistic methods for the analysis of historical chronicles, chronology of the ancient time and Middle Ages. So this guy, it's not like he's gone back and found a few passages in some books and said, oh my gosh, they've wiped 1000 years. He is basically, he's a left brain. He's like a statistician. This guy runs on information. Okay, so what he did is he was studying the movements of the sun and the moon in the past, in historical texts. So he was studying things like full moons, eclipses, solstices, all this kind of phenomena. And of course, these things are written down in ancient texts. So he was going along and basically referencing them, I guess, and trying to make a chart or something. And he found out that none of it fit, because today we have computer programs that are basically astronomical programs, and you can put in dates into them and it will show you the sky as it was, how many hundreds or thousands of years back that you go. And of course, the reason they can do this is because it's a clock, right? The sky is a clock. How could they go back and show you the sky, how it was 400 years ago, if we were spinning through space at 666,000 miles a second or a minute? That doesn't make sense. But they do. We have this is software that is used a lot, and people haven't clicked onto that yet, the ones who are using it. But there you go, a little side note. So yeah, he used this software, and basically nothing matched up. All the information. He'd read a book and it'd say, there was a solstice on this date. He'd run the software. He'd look for the solstice, and it wasn't there. So being the kind of brainiac that he was, he looked into it, and he ended up writing, I think it's 7 volumes so far. Yeah, there we go, 7 volumes of history. History, is it fiction or science? And basically, after all his study, he's worked out that the Middle Ages never existed. They are a complete fabrication. And in the Middle Ages, according to Anatoly, is when the Bible, the New Testament, and the Old Testament both happened in that period. And so, yeah, the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, this time when nothing happened, actually didn't exist. So that's been added, and that helps, the controllers push things back in time, and it gives them, an extra, 800 or 1,000 years to add their story, right? To add their script, to change it from what it was. And he also talks about the Bible and the New and Old Testaments being closer than we're told, and also being in the other, around the other way. He actually says that the New Testament happened before the Old Testament. So there's some very interesting stuff in there. Now, like I said, there's 7 volumes of this stuff. I'll leave you this link. This has got links to all the books. You can buy them all. A lot of them are online. I've got a few. I'll see if I can find them and leave the links as well if you're interested. But it is, they are very intense books. So this is where it all came from, Anatoly Fomenko. Now, a big part of the theory of, the added years is, obviously we need to know, where did it come from? Who did this? And we can pinpoint it down to this man, Joseph Justus Scaliger. And he invented what is now known as Scaligerian chronology, which in itself tells you something, right? This guy lived in the 1600s. So why would it be Scaligerian chronology? Wouldn't chronology just be chronology? I mean, putting a name there kind of tells you that they've changed something. So he was a French Calvinist, a religious leader, of course, funny hat man, and a scholar known for expanding the notion of classical history from Greek and ancient Roman history, which never existed, to include Persian, Babylonian, Jewish, and ancient Egyptian history. Okay, big clue there. So basically, what he was doing is he was a translator. He was translating books from Latin and other old languages into modern languages, like I think he was doing mainly French. And so as obviously when they're translating books, they can do what they want. At that point, there wasn't an educated populace. Most of them, were sort of the ability to read and write had been taken away, so that they could do stuff like this, change all the dates and change everything. And it says in here, look, he's been messing with Greek, Roman, Persian, Babylonian, Jewish, and ancient Egyptian history. So easy for them to just mix all the dates around, right? And there's lots of questions about, especially Egyptian history and all these different things. When did they really happen? What's the real story? So this guy, and he was, a Jesuit, and he had a big team of people, all, under the name of religion. They rewrote all these books under the guise of translating them. Now, what they did when they were translating them, basically, they went through, and in the, a few hundred years ago, when we used to write dates, it would be in the year of our Lord, and then we would have the year. Now, the way that they signified the year of our Lord was with a J for Jesus, or an I for Ayusa, is that how you say it? Or an X sometimes for Christos. So basically all meaning, our Lord. So it would be J 506, say. So in the year of our Lord 506. Now when Scaliger came along, he changed that J into a 1. So the J 506 became 1506. It became 1506, effectively adding 1,000 years to the calendar. And this is the big crux of this. This is where a lot of history, it shows us that they could, that one, that they're hiding something, and two, that they have gone and changed history because they've added all these years. We know they have, but yet they tell us things happened in this time period, which we can prove never existed. So it's a complete lie. It's a complete lie. Down here, there's a few things that he talks about, in the books, examples of counterfeit documents formerly used in the Roman Empire. Okay, so they've been counterfeiting documents. He's got the histories of the bishops of Rome, pagan motifs in Christian Europe. So the whole story of, Christianity has been played with. Pyramids within the Roman realms, east of west. So, we know there's pyramids all over the place now. But basically, what he's showing is what we talk about a lot. And it's definitely, a big part of this topic of alternative history is they've changed everything. The Great Wall of China was apparently built in the 1700s. So there's all these things that, that we're told happen, and they're put out in a chronological line, set out for us, and then we're told this is history. This is how it happened. Blah, blah, blah. We started from amoeba, turned into a frog, turned into a tree sloth, into a chimpanzee, into a human, and then we evolved, huts, brick buildings, and into where we are now. But of course we know this isn't true. We know this just from the buildings. So 1,000 years was added to the calendar, and that was used to distort our view of the past. So let's have a look at a few pictures, shall we? And these dates you find on in books, on maps, on coins, carved into different types of stones and buildings, like marking stones, gravestones, buildings. Most of the ones on the buildings have been changed, but the ones in books, old books, haven't. And this is a book of Christian prayers collected out of the ancient writers and left learned in our time, worthy to be read with an carnal mind of all Christians in their dangerous and troublesome days, that God, for the Christ's fate, will yet be merciful unto us. Will yet still be merciful unto us. And this just shows you, this book is, I-578, right? That's an I. 578. So if they've added, turn that into a 1, and basically, so this is from the year 500, it means it's still chronologically, it's the 1500s as we see it, if we're going to take that time away from the year 2021. Unless we start talking that we're in the year 1021, then we're going to have to say, so it makes sense. So this was really, 400 years ago, right? And look at the difference in just, there's an E at the end of book, S's are F's, ancient, look at that, A-U-N, writers, time, T-Y, all these different way of writing things, just a few hundred years ago. This is a gravestone, I believe, I-745. This is from an old Bible, and I just found it interesting because look at the dates. The 20th or the 21st, J. The 21st, I guess, but they've used J's, see? J. and I. So, I mean, obviously that's Roman numerals, but yeah, they've got J's, Jaths, at the end of them. So I just found that interesting. Here's an old map, J582, and of course you find these old dates on lots of maps. Coins as well. Now this is a US coin, J783. So, as far as the New World, of course, we're told, it was definitely the New World, and we shouldn't really find this kind of dating system there, but we still do. So when was, this happened in the 1600s, we're told that he changed, that Josephus Scaliger changed it, but we still see this dating up. You don't really see it in the 1800s, but definitely you see it in the 1700s. So maybe it took a while to filter through, I'm not sure, but interesting. And of course we've got, the laurel wreath here. And on the other side of the coin, look what we have here. And it's the constellation Nova, the new constellation, Liberty and Justice, J783. Here's a few more coins. This is I623, another I624, same kind of coin there. I601, Christian, and they're all tied, they're all tied to Christianity. So this time, change, this chronological change, it was done through the church. I586. And the holy hand grenade up on top. I598 and I803. So there you go. I'm proved wrong. An 1800s one. 803. Half a killing. Making a killing. So this looks like it's probably from like a Commonwealth country, somewhere that the British have gone and taken over. This is from a book, I597. J648, J794. Oh, and look, that almost says Campbell, but not quite. It's almost awesome. That's pretty good. This is a marking stone. It's not a gravestone, it's a marking stone, as far as it's telling you how far New Bridge is, 2¼ miles, in the year J794, of course. There you go. In the year anno J686, the Cool School, or the Coolie School. Cool is cool. That's what cool is cool. Back in the 1600s or the 600s, what's he holding? Is he going bowling? Are they telling us bowling was cool back in J686? What do you think? This guy is out cutting the crops in the year J623. De grass, man. He's cutting de grass. Coat of arms, J648. And of course we have here the head, the head of the headless knight, or the bodiless knight, I guess. These often have creepy things in them. I656. Aha, Tartary. And what do we have? J654. So in 1654, which is basically 654, Tartary was definitely there. Tartary, Cathay, Turkey. So Tartary was more up here at that point, they're saying. All across the top of Russia. Justice Josephus Scaliger, the Scallywag. And you can see just in the, obviously he was a Jesuit, but you can see all the religious symbolism surrounding him here, and of course We've got the balls, we've got the crosses, the crowns, the double-headed eagle, with a ladder going up to it. That, of course, is a stolen symbol as far as we can work out. The laurel wreath, which may be a symbol for, the Taurus, the toroid. We've got Hermes here, I guess, with his staff, the caduceus. Twin snakes, obviously representing the DNA strands. Over here, this person got stoned and forgot they were in the picture, and they're holding their. So this is Earth, and this is the astrological signs going round and round. And don't think we've got a date on this one. But that's the scallywag. Anatoly Fomenko, just showing you how smart he is. Numbers and equal signs. And here we have Barbaria. Now Barbaria, or Barbaria, obviously very similar to Tartaria, was Africa, the top of Africa. And Barbaria, it came from Berberia and the Berbers, which we still find in Africa and basically all across, through the Middle East and Asia. And they're the same as the Gypsies. And of course, what do we have down here but a massive star city? Where are we? Mediterranean Sea, got castles and stuff here. And look, forests at the top of Africa. And this is in the year, I don't know if you can see that, J535. Just there. So there you go. That was what was going down in Africa in the 1500s. Lots of trees, big star cities, water. Not what we are told. And here's another one. This is the Grand Tartaria, the Northern Ocean. I'm not sure what Skitiko means. If you know, let me. I see this word a lot. Let me know what it means if you know. Ma is ocean, so the sea. Sorry, Sea of Tartaria. What's that? I'm not sure what that is. I haven't seen that island before. But yeah, Tartaria. The Tartaria Deserta. The Tartarian Desert, full of cities though. So what year was that? And is a desert? Why are they calling it a desert? Was it a desert then? In the year I-693. So around 1700, so it probably would have been a desert by that time. I think the bombardment had already happened. But as you can see, Tartaria everywhere. Sea of Tartaria, Desert of Tartaria, it's just everywhere. It ain't just a region. This is Moscow, Russia. In Moscow, Tartaria, description J562. And here we have some Tartars with their bow and arrow. A couple of camels. Lots of camels. So you can see there was lots going on back in the day. A book, Van Europe, I-695. This is, just a cut from a book, so it's not the best to look at, but it just says here, J535. Again, from an old book. A lot of these are just screenshots from books that I find online, but I-567. So this, it is everywhere. If you look, it's everywhere. And here's another description of Tartary in J654. I think we saw that one before, didn't we? Maybe. Paris. Geography, de Roy, Paris. What's by the king? That's right, by the king of Paris. A description of Tartary. Well, there you go. The Grand Tartary, I-693. Again, Russia, Moscow, Tarih, J, 562. Coin, I577. So just everywhere, guys. If you look for it, I684. Just hidden in plain sight. I673. So it's everywhere on coins, maps, and in old books as well. And here is an old map of Tripoli in Barbaria, right? Up in Africa, and of course, it's a walled star city with a star fort and citadel. And this was in the year I567. So there we have it. So this was brought up by Anatoly Fomenko, a Russian who was looking at, solar phenomena, and he worked out that it was all wrong. So he got to subtracting 1,000 years off the calendar, and it all synced up, coming to the conclusion that 1,000 years had been added. And of course, since then, many researchers have got out there and had a look, and we have proven him true, because we have gone out and we found these I's and J's. No X's today. I do have some X's somewhere in some files, but they did use X, just not as much. It was mainly I's and J's instead of ones. But they're everywhere in books, on maps, in coins, carved into old tombstones, marking stones, buildings, everywhere. And of course, so many more would have been covered up and or taken off, the whole re-facade. So his story is definitely not our story. So I hope you found that one interesting. Please give me a like, give me a comment, tell me what you thought, leave any information you do have. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video if you find it interesting, because we do need to get this information out there. We need to wake people up, and this topic, it's a good way to wake people up. It's non-confronting. People can go out into their cities and see what we're talking about, and we stay away from the whole what's going on right in the outer world. So yeah, pass it around, guys. Share all these videos. If you feel inclined, make your own. Start getting this information out there, because this is where we are. We're going towards a new Earth, not the new world that some people want, but a new Earth that we're going to create. And what that's really going to be is, we're just going to remember and rediscover who we are and where we are and what we've already achieved. And once we realize that and we get rid of the parasite, it won't take long for us to get back there. So thank you for spending some time with me. I do appreciate it and love you all. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.